Can I ask you something before we go anywhere else? How many times have you promised yourself, starting tomorrow, everything changes. Tomorrow comes. And somehow, it feels just like today. The same delay, the same excuse, the same quiet disappointment when you look in the mirror and know, deep down, that you did not keep your word to yourself. Take a moment. Do not rush past this. How many tomorrows have already come and gone? If you feel a small ache reading that, please know you are not broken. You are not lazy. You are not weak. You are simply human, standing exactly where almost every person on this earth has stood at some point in their life. The gap between who we are and who we want to become. That gap has a name. We call it discipline. And today I want to sit with you, gently, honestly, and talk about how that gap can be closed. Not through force, not through punishment, but through something far more powerful and far more kind than most people realize. I want to tell you, right at the beginning, that this speech is not going to shout at you. It is not going to tell you to just try harder or stop being lazy. Because I do not believe those words ever truly helped anyone change. What actually changes a person is understanding. Understanding themselves. Understanding why they do what they do. And slowly, patiently building a different relationship with their own mind. That is what discipline really is. Not punishment. A relationship. A relationship between you and your own future. Let me tell you about a young man I want you to imagine. Because his story might feel familiar to you in ways you do not expect. He wakes up every morning with big dreams. He wants to build a business. He wants to get fit. He wants to read more, learn more, become more. In his mind, he has already lived the life he wants. But every single day, something happens. He hits snooze. He tells himself he will start after breakfast. Breakfast turns into scrolling on his phone. Scrolling turns into the afternoon. The afternoon turns into evening. And evening turns into another day gone. Another promise broken. Another quiet whisper in his heart that says, maybe I am just not disciplined enough for this. Have you ever felt that whisper? That quiet voice that makes you wonder if maybe, just maybe, some people are born with discipline and you simply were not one of them. I want to tell you something that might surprise you, something I say with complete honesty and care. Nobody is born disciplined. Nobody. Discipline is not a gift some people receive at birth, while others are left without it. Discipline is built slowly, brick by brick, through small decisions made over and over, especially on the days when nobody is watching and nothing feels urgent. Think about that for a moment. Discipline is not a personality trait. It is a skill. And if it is a skill, that means it can be learned. That means it can be practiced. That means no matter how many times you have failed before, no matter how many tomorrows have already slipped away, you can still build it. Starting from wherever you are standing right now. Is that not a relief to hear? You are not behind some invisible race where everyone else was simply given a stronger will than you. 3. You are simply someone who has not yet learned the method. And methods, unlike talent, can always be taught. Let me share something deeper with you. 3. So many of us believe that discipline means being hard on ourselves. We imagine it as some strict, cold voice inside our head. 3. Forcing us to do things we do not want to do, punishing us when we fail. But real discipline, the kind that actually lasts, does not come from harshness. 3. It comes from care. It comes from loving yourself enough to want better for your own future. The same way a good parent gently guides a child. 3. Not through fear, but through patient, consistent encouragement. Have you ever noticed how a small child learns to walk? They fall down again and again. 3. Nobody scolds them for falling. Nobody tells them they are lazy or weak. We simply encourage them. We celebrate every small attempt. And slowly, 3, without even realizing it, they learn to walk and then to run. What if we treated ourselves that same way while building new habits? What if, 3, instead of harsh self-criticism every time we fail, we offered ourselves the same patient encouragement we would offer a child learning something new? 3. I want you to sit with that thought for a moment. How different would your life feel if you treated your own mistakes with that same gentle patience? 3. Let me tell you about a woman whose story touched me deeply. She wanted, more than anything, to build a habit of writing every single day. 3. She had a story inside her that she desperately wanted to tell the world. But every time she sat down to write, her mind would wander. 3. She would write for 5 minutes, then check her phone. 10 minutes, then get distracted by something in the kitchen. 3. Days would pass with barely a paragraph written. She began to believe that maybe she simply was not a disciplined person, and slowly, painfully, 3, she started giving up on the dream itself. One evening, feeling defeated, she decided to try something different. 3. Instead of forcing herself to write for 1 hour, which felt impossible and exhausting just to think about, she made a much smaller promise to herself. 3. Just 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes of writing each day, no matter what. It felt almost silly, too small to matter. But she kept that promise. 3. 5 minutes every single day, even on days she felt uninspired, even on days she felt tired. Something beautiful began happening. 3. Because the goal was so small, she rarely failed to meet it. And because she rarely failed, she began trusting herself again. That trust, 3, that quiet inner voice saying, I keep my promises to myself, became the foundation for everything that followed. Some days, 3, 5 minutes turned into 20. Other days, it stayed just 5 minutes, and that was completely fine. Slowly, over months, 3, her book began to take shape, not through dramatic bursts of motivation, but through small, consistent, forgiving effort. Is that not beautiful? 3. She did not become disciplined by demanding more from herself. She became disciplined by demanding just enough, small enough, achievable enough. 3. that she could actually keep her word. I want you to think about your own life for a moment. What is something you have been wanting to build? A habit, a skill, a change, but keep failing to start because the goal in your mind feels too big, too overwhelming. See, what would happen if you shrunk that goal down not to something impressive, but to something almost embarrassingly small? See, small enough that skipping it would feel strange rather than starting it feeling exhausting. Three. This is one of the most important truths about discipline that I want you to carry with you. We do not build discipline through big dramatic actions. Three. We build it through small, boring, unglamorous consistency. Discipline is not about running a marathon on day one. Three. It is about putting on your shoes today, even if you only walk to the end of your street. It is not about writing a whole chapter. See, it is about writing one honest sentence. It is not about transforming your entire life in a single week. It is about choosing today, just for today, see, to do one small thing that your future self will thank you for. Why do we so often ignore this simple wisdom? I think if we are honest, it is because we live in a world that glorifies speed. We want fast results. We want dramatic transformations. We see others online, seemingly disciplined, seemingly perfect, and we compare our slow, quiet progress to their polished highlight reels. And we feel like failures before we have even truly begun. But let me ask you something gently. Do you know what happens to a tree that grows too fast? Its roots stay shallow and it becomes fragile, easily broken by the first strong storm. But a tree that grows slowly, season after season, year after year, develops deep roots that can withstand almost anything. Discipline built slowly through small consistent actions becomes deeply rooted in who you are. Discipline forced quickly through extreme willpower and unsustainable effort often collapses at the very first difficult season. Which kind of strength do you truly want? The kind that looks impressive for a few weeks and then disappears, or the kind that quietly, steadily carries you through your entire life? I want to speak now about something that I believe holds so many people back from building discipline. And it is not laziness. It is fear, quiet and often unspoken. Fear of failing again. Fear of starting something and abandoning it, just like every other time before. This fear becomes so heavy that many people would rather not start at all than risk facing that familiar disappointment one more time. If that fear lives inside you, I want you to know I see you and I understand you. That fear makes complete sense. It comes from real experience, from real attempts that did not work out the way you hoped. But I want to gently offer you a different way of seeing those past attempts. What if they were not failures at all? What if they were simply lessons teaching you what does not work, so that you could eventually discover what does? Every person who has ever built real, lasting discipline in their life has a long list of failed attempts behind them. The difference between someone who eventually succeeds and someone who gives up completely is not that one person failed and the other did not. See, the difference is that one person kept returning gently, patiently after every fall, see, while the other person let one fall convince them the whole journey was impossible. Can you see the difference that makes? It is not about never falling. See, it is about how quickly and how kindly you return to yourself after you do. Let me tell you about an older man whose story stayed with me deeply. See, for most of his adult life, he struggled with his health. He would start exercise routines with great enthusiasm, only to quit within 2 or 3 weeks, feeling ashamed each time. This pattern repeated for years, decades even. Start, quit, shame, avoid, repeat. By the time he reached his 50s, he had almost completely given up believing he could ever be a disciplined, healthy person. But something